Hello, welcome back. It is week 90 on Out on That Line. I'm Jeff with my co-host Alex. As always, Alex, how you doing this week?
Jeff, I am hot to trot this week, week 90. And you know what else does some trotting? A horse. We are talking about Megan Thee Stallion this week. I can't wait to get into it. I have a lot of thoughts. I know you do too, Jeff.
Oh,
back,
yes.
baby.
I have
We're
a lot
back,
of thoughts.
baby.
This was anticipated. This album was something last week, foot in our mouths. We did not realize that it had already come out until it was too late. So I'm sorry if you've been waiting for this, but hopefully the anticipation is built to an extent that you're going to enjoy this as much as we did. Megan Thee Stallion is back with Traumazine. And I was expecting less of good news and more, moving towards let's get a little weird territory. Now, I don't think we got that. We'll get into more, as we go along, but I do think we got to see more of Megan Thee Stallion past the general bravado that she usually, kind of puts out.
I think so. It's like, so I'm with you on it didn't get as weird as it could have been. Mm-hmm. I think something you and I both thought about, considering all the stuff that's happening in her life and with her music. I think we both talked about, are we going to get a super introspective Megan Thee Stallion? Mm-hmm. And we did, and sometimes to a mixed effect, because for someone who's known for her lyrics and her delivery on some of those more introspective songs, the lyrical creativity was not there. Not like it's bad. That sounds like a backhanded diss.
Yeah.
But it just it's interesting how she gave us what she gave us. It didn't get as weird and conceptual as I think you or I thought maybe it would.
Yes. And I think, that's to me, I thought about it too. And I'm like, who am I to say what kind of album she should have made? That's the one I hoped she was going to, because I do think she's incredibly talented. I think whatever creative medium there is, I think she's going to find success in that. And I think whatever she decides to try, she's the little bits that she's saying, she sings well enough to make a, more of an R&B type of song, get a little kind of branch out a little bit more. And also having just listened to the Beyonce album, I was kind of hoping that it was going to go off the walls a little bit like that one did, and give us a little bit less good news and a little bit more renaissance, I guess, is what I was kind of hoping for. But I do think she improved. Good News was a great kick down the door, I'm here, let's get it kind of album. I don't think there was as big a step for this one as I feel like there could have been.
That's fair, and I agree with you on that, because I would have loved to have seen, because that's the thing, it's not she should have. It's what did you kind of think about in your mind. So what I would have loved to have seen was a move in the more Doja Cat direction, but Doja Cat stuff's all about sex. It's all about fucking.
Yeah.
So Megan Thee Stallion is interested in some different themes, but especially if you're going to make an album that is essentially one long diss track to all of your haters, you could set it to really off the wall, candy colorful beats like Doja Cat does, and get weird with your experiment with your delivery. She has a fucking awesome delivery, and she has a nice voice. So when she kind of jumped in on more melodic vocals, it was really interesting. And I didn't get enough of that, I think, for my taste, but it's flashes of ooh, I would have loved to have seen her latch onto that and make this really out there while still being venomous.
I think what it comes down to is we know, because we've heard those little bits, right? So we know that she's capable of getting a little bit off the wall, doing something she's always very funny. Her punchlines are great. I would hate to be somebody that she writes one of these songs about, because she eviscerates people regularly. I think knowing that she's capable of doing those other things makes us want her to do those other things. But this one right now, I feel like it's sounding like we're not that excited about it. And you might not be. I was pretty excited about listening to this one. And while I compare it to Good News and be like, oh, I was thinking we'd get a drastic departure from that, and we got kind of, a lot of stuff in the same vein as that. It's not like Good News was a bad album. That was a great album.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really great stuff on that. So doing that again is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just knowing what she's capable of. I think it's both fair that we were like, I wish she tried some other things.
Well, Good News was flawed, but net positive. Like, it was
Yeah.
interesting in the way that it was flawed. And it's kind of the same thing with this album, where the stuff where I'm like, I don't know, like Gift and a Curse, that song, fell flat on its face for me. And I look at that and I'm not like, well, that's one demerit against this album. She is skating on thin ice. I'll deduct points for another song they get. Unsubscribe. Like, I wasn't sitting there doing that. It's like, it's interesting. Everything, not just her, but everything is interesting for the missteps it makes. You know?
Yeah. And I think the thing is, there was a lot of passion into this.
Totally.
So, while I may have wished she did some other stuff, like, I don't think what she did here was a half-ass effort at all. I think she made sure that she kept her list. She checked it twice and made sure that everybody that needed to hear a little something on this album had their own little special place here. I think she really did a great job. She's also like, I don't know, again, like how political she gets, because I don't pay a whole lot of attention to like pop culture in that way that I'm going to be like fully aware of what every celebrity's doing. But I think, she's starting to get a little bit that way. Like, there was a lot of not just like, I can't believe you did that to me. It's looking at it like, well, maybe if I'm getting treated this way, like other women are, and I think she's starting to look at things with a broad lens. So like, maybe this album is just a transition point. Like, maybe we're getting somewhere new with the next one, and I'll be looking forward to hearing that. But, I feel like she got those introspective parts. I think we got a lot more of that here. But since it was done a lot of times in the same style as all of the just vicious diss tracks, they don't separate themselves enough, I guess. It's like, it's nice that it's there, but I wish there was just something that gave it a different feeling than another diss track.
Yep, that's fair. And the way I look at it is like, she's young. She's being disrespected on so many levels. She is a young black superstar in a genre where it's like notoriously hard to be a young black superstar female. So she's just like people think she didn't get shot. People think she didn't get shot by Tory Lanez.
Yeah.
And
wild.
he made some piece of crap album whining about like, but you ain't heard my side of the story.
Yeah.
And like, weirdos out there who don't care about the facts are like, she didn't get shot. She did that for clout.
Yeah. Like, what the I don't understand. There was so much evidence pointing to the fact that she got shot. Like, why? And what I don't understand is like, why would you lie about that? Like, you can't fake a bullet wound, lie about him doing something else that like, there's no like physical mark. Like, if you're straight up lying, the best you can hope for is like a he said, she said, and then it's court of public opinion at that point. Like, literally bullet hole in her foot. And it's like, do you think she's going to go to that extreme to lie about that for clout? She was already way more famous than he was.
And what was the clout? Yeah, like relative to him, like getting shot by a C-lister was supposed to catapult her into the, like, it doesn't make sense. It does. Their theory that like she did it for clout. It's like, did she shoot herself? Like, what do you think happened here?
Yeah,
like,
that's the problem with dumb bastards, Alex.
Well, that's what we like to say on the show. And I think Frank Zappa would say that about people too, just so I make sure I get him in here.
He might use it as a compliment, though.
I don't know. He was a big-time misanthrope. He really hated everyone.
Well, at least he was fair.
He hated everybody but dead composers.
Well, who doesn't? I don't go to sleep every night thinking of the people that, in my life that care about me.
No,
it's dead composers. Yeah.
What are you, some kind of child?
Yeah, I grew. Once I got past 5, I learned the way the world really works. Now, Ludwig van Beethoven is really the only one I think of.
I consider Igor Stravinsky my real father now.
And why wouldn't he be? He was a strong man.
He's been there for me in ways my actual dad. I have 2 dads. And Igor Stravinsky's dead ass has been there for me in ways that neither of them ever could.
That's what I've heard about him.
It's powerful stuff. And I have that in common with Uncle Frank. This Uncle Frank break was brought to you by Out on That Line. Now back to the album.
So do you want to get started just with the songs?
Let's do it.
Fire it up. So the first song on the album, and also my first pick, is NDA. Now this one, if you thought that you weren't going to hear about the incident right off the bat on this album, then you were going to be sorely surprised, my friend, because straight up, she just spends the whole first verse just saying, like, I don't know why you all made me do this. I didn't want to have to do this, but I'm going to do this for this entire album. And I feel like this one, it kind of launches the whole album. When we talk about setting the mood, setting the tone for an entire album, and for better or worse on this album, this song does it.
This is like the thesis of the entire album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if people are going to hate on her and try to diminish who she is as a person, who she is as an artist, she's going to let them. There's no point in being humble. Like, she knows how good she is, and that's why she made it, and that's why people hate her. They're projecting on her. That idea of jealous people who become her hangers-on, projecting onto her, is all over this album. And that's their problem. It's not hers. So she's just, like, putting them all on notice, not letting any of them off the hook, and being like, you have completely objectified and commodified me, and now I'm going to cut your fucking head off.
Yeah, and she has smoke for everybody on this album. I mean, she pulls absolutely zero punches, and I don't know if she really, like, mentions names specifically other than her own, really. And if there's spots on the album, like, where they do, you know, you can probably correct me, but you know exactly who she's talking about with all of this. Like, she is not afraid to be very specific about a scene or what the issue is or anything like that. So, like, she doesn't have to say the name and catch herself like a defamation lawsuit or anything like that. But damn, she tears everybody down on this album.
And I think she did it all in one fell swoop, because instead of having these, like, really intricate, like, breadcrumb diss tracks, like, oh my God, she said something that's clearly about Cardi B, like, that is not as interesting as making these blanket statements that kind of, like, implicate everybody. A lot of the times, like, it's implicating the people who try to market her shit. Like, her record label allegedly might have pulled some weird shit and leaked a bunch of her stuff. Some dispute over that. I didn't look into it any more than, like, an offhand thing that I saw when I was reading about the album.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, she's, like, people are doing some wild shit to her and making money off of her, but treating her like shit. And she talks about that relationship. There's the line, they take all the hate that they got from me and they market it. Wow. When they shit ain't popping, they using Megan for marketing. So it's this idea that's like, yeah, you can build a cottage industry on hating me and making my life hell, but if you think I'm going to help you sell chicken poppers, then you'll come to Megan Thee Stallion for instant credibility. Yeah. Like, it's this interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, and they have these lines are just incredible, because I think it just tells you right up, you know, with this first song, when we say set the mood, these are the ones that do it. Sick of being humble, because you bitches don't respect that. And the next one of y'all hoes want to get bold, I'm going to check that. And the next one of y'all blogs want to spread lies, I'm going to sue you. And the next bitch that break my NDA, that go for you too. There's, like, very specific people that she's talking about. And that's what I love about this, is she doesn't give them the satisfaction of naming them or being specific enough that they can really catch any sort of clout from this. And I feel like that is such a diss within the diss that it's just beautiful. Like, she can talk shit better than anybody.
And imagine being someone, like, you suspect that you're going to pop up on this, and you listen and you hear those little references to you, and you know she's talking about you.
Yeah.
And you're not going to tell anyone because she just made you look like a huge fucking loser. So it's kind of like, it's a very interesting concept for an album to just, like, haunt people with vague references to the way they've transgressed against you in the past.
Yeah. And I feel like Megan Thee Stallion, like, her fan base is going to be so much stronger than anybody she's talking shit about. Because I don't know, unless she is the greatest actress of all time, I feel like she's a very genuine person. And that usually goes a long way when you're a celebrity.
I think she, like, I tend to agree and think that she's probably a pretty genuine person, because you would have to be genuinely psychotic to, like, act that nice and then, like to put that on. If you're if there's something a couple people know and you're generally, like, reprehensible, and this whole Megan Thee Stallion that makes us think she's sweet is an act, like, that's psychopathy, and that's, like, a career in and of itself. She's too busy trying to be really fucking good at rap. So, again, it's these weird conspiracy theories people have about her where, like, she's some kind of psychopath. I truly don't get it.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to believe her?
And why her?
Right.
Too, you know? Like, not saying, like, why her, like, she doesn't matter. Not saying it like that, but, like why her?
Don't we love, like, an inspirational person to rally behind? It's like, you know, she comes up doing, like, guest verses and, like, rap ciphers and stuff. She comes out of Houston and is, like, very proud of being from there. Has this great relationship with her mother, but then her mother and her grandmother pass away. She gets a college degree. She has these, like, peaks and pits that would be crazy for a normal person, and add on top of that she's an international superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Her life is a pretty crazy thing to think about, and the kind of things that will do to you, the kind of stuff you're going to experience, and the way that's going to fuck with you is pretty wild. And the idea that people are going to come in and, like, try to diminish that is just the only reason is you're pissed it wasn't you. And she references that in this album. You're pissed because you hate her because you ain't her. It's literally that simple. Yep. I'm not trying to be, like, a huge Megan Thee Stallion homer. It's just the psychology behind, like, why people want to hate her. They don't hate her because of something she did. They hate her because of something she is. They want to hate her. They're projecting.
All right, Alex. Then we have one of your picks. Is Not Nice.
I'm not nice. This is all about dissing the fake friends and the hangers-on who were just there to use her and sold her out. She's not going to get fooled again. She's not going to pretend to take the high road. She's not going to pretend this didn't hurt her. She's just going to fucking burn your shit to ashes. When I heard this song for the first time, I was reminded of Scarface when he really fucks up and, like, the big Don decides to come after him. I told you not to fuck me, Tony. That's very much the tone of this song. She doesn't presume to be perfect, but if you're going to try to drag her down, she's just going to use you as fuel to strike me down and I would become more powerful than you could ever imagine. You're going to hate her even more because she's just going to do that much better.
I mean, bitch, I kept your bills paid. You were sick. I paid for surgery. Like, she paid for someone's surgery and then they did her dirty.
Big time hardo move. Yep.
Yeah, that is some bullshit. Bullshit.
But then, like, the verbal Ginsu knives that come out to eviscerate these kind of people. Like a with a big dick, a lot of these hoes can't take me. Like, I love that. And then you have, like, less kind of punny. Like, I've always said, rappers are English lit nerds. Bitch, real G's move in silence like lasagna. Stuff like that. Stuff like a dick, these hoes can't take me. It's great. And then you just get pure imagery. Like, you got the roaches in your crib sharing snacks with your kids.
Yeah.
It's like,
incredible.
You broke fuck.
Yeah. I mean, that is maybe the most devastating line on this entire thing. Because she's just calling them dirty and broke. I mean, that hurts. That's digging to the very core of whatever that person has going on in their life.
And yet it's set to this, like, old school 90s kind of dreamy East Coast rap. And it's got that kind of, like, Notorious B.I.G. swing to it. The song really, like, swings. She's not going a million miles an hour. She's just, like, getting her whole tongue around the verbiage in a very interesting way. There's more of a flow to it where it keeps moving like this and kind of like a wave, as opposed to just, like, getting it out fast like she does when she's going a million miles an hour down, just running it down an enemy's throat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I would not want to be one of her enemies.
No,
For sure not. For sure not. Let's see. Who have we talked about on here? Well, Megan Thee Stallion one. I think we said that on her last album. Is like, I would hate to be the person that she writes these verses about. Like there's quite Eminem back in the day would probably be one I would not want knowing anything about me if he was upset with me.
I know when you shit your pants in the 3rd grade.
Yeah, just like there's a few people that you're just like, man, you're going to just pick out the things that I'm the most insecure about and you are going to make me feel like shit about them. And she is so good at that.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder, like, who's going to come out with... Because the problem is all the people that are, like, catching all these bullets right now, none of them are really that, like, all that famous. Or at least she didn't make it that obvious that she was talking about anybody all that famous. At least not in this song. Obviously, Tory Lanez, like, is, probably mid-level successful in, like, the R&B and rap world. But I think a lot of his fan base left him when this all happened because there was probably people that were fans of both and went with Megan Thee Stallion. So I don't think he gained any fans from that. The ones that stuck around are the diehards that sound like idiots saying he didn't pull the trigger, he didn't shoot her, he didn't do that.
Well, and there's still Chris Brown apologists in the world living and working today.
You know what? I will bet you that if you ask any average Tory Lanez fan what they think about Chris Brown, you're not going to hear much about the fact that he's a domestic abuser and all-around monster.
That Venn diagram of those two fan bases might overlap nicely. You may have a point there.
It might just be a circle.
It's entirely possible. But
yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion will be there to kick him in the nuts.
And she could, because the thing is, like, I feel like she could also, like, physically hurt somebody. Not only verbally. I feel like she could, like, physically put a hurt on somebody.
Listen, you don't call her the fucking stallion because she doesn't have the power of the horse.
Yeah.
That girl can probably kick heads off shoulders. That I don't know if anyone else watched Hottie Boot Camp when she was doing that on Instagram during the pandemic. You don't want to get kicked in the head by a horse. Don't do it.
No.
Just
and
don't.
I'm sure, I'm going to guess there's probably a lot of folks watching Hottie Boot Camp, and none with the pure intentions that you had.
I was just monitoring it for content.
Yeah, well, you're a personal trainer, so you just need to make sure that everybody's staying safe in there.
Exactly. Correct. Using correct form.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what else? You probably saved a lot of people from serious injury.
Just saying.
Or death. You never know.
Sometimes quality control is the difference between life and death, and I'm proud to be that guardian angel. Yeah, I did that. I watched Hottie Boot Camp for you guys. And
we haven't heard any thanks for it. We weren't asking for it necessarily, I guess. But we just want to put it out there that, while you were out enjoying your lives, doing whatever you want, we've been here looking out for you, the listeners.
Not to pile on, but I'm also the reason that the hottie sauce exists. So you're welcome again, Popeyes fans.
That is, and again, we're not asking for thanks. We're guys that like credit to go where it's due. Okay.
To my Venmo.
It. Yeah, that's all. And if the credit is the form of money, then so be it. If that's how you feel you need to express how grateful you are, then that's okay.
So some people show their love. That's how ugly guys get laid.
Who are we to deny that?
Exactly. We're just part of a proud tradition.
We are. And we're also part of a podcast that's going to talk about the next song on this album. This one's called Her. Now, this one I think might be what I wanted her to get, like, a little bit weird. I don't know. When I say weird, I feel like that's such a broad general statement. I guess just, like, try something new, like, sonically, bring in some more of the, the more, like, kind of melodic elements of your music that you're more than capable of. And I feel like on this one, at least, we got some of that.
Yeah, the problem for me was that the beat underneath it, like the dance beat underneath it, wasn't super remarkable, and the chorus didn't really do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another one that I wanted to see go in a weird kind of conceptual space, and I hate to, like, compare her to other artists to say like, well, it would have been cool if she did this. But this could have been a very like Nicki Minaj, like when Nicki Minaj does her weirdo shit where she's doing weird voices and shit like that. Like, I'm not saying Megan Thee Stallion should just be a silly goose and do voices, but some kind of more like theatrical component of this one would have made it a lot more interesting to me. Like, as it stands, it's to me treading on a lot of some of the same ground so far. It's like that's when this hit me in this album.
Yeah. And and I can understand that because I really do. And I think she's fully capable of making that like big time statement album. I don't think either of these first two that she's come out with are necessarily that yet, but you see enough flashes in there that it's like, okay, as long as there's continual progress and we're like getting somewhere as these keep coming out, then I think we're in good shape. But this one, I think because of the chorus, I actually kind of did like it a lot just because it was a little different than everything else. And I think it was just, I feel like this song was, I don't know, because it's still very aggressive. So it's hard to say it's like less aggressive than other ones. But I feel like it was just a little bit differently structured. There was a little bit different focus on what the song was going to be about. So that's why it kind of stood out to me.
Do you really mean to say that this song is being aggressive? A song that says, tell the haters to suck my clit?
And tell a hater kiss both cheeks.
I mean, she's a hottie with a potty. Like, that's always been one of her strong suits to me. Like, again, as someone to invoke Uncle Frank, who loves when he does this poo-poo caca stuff because, like, it's genuinely funny. He wasn't trying to be deep. He was trying to be hilarious. She really takes that sex is hilarious because of how embarrassing it is thing up to a 10 and is like, you know what? Suck my clit. People would faint if she said that to their face.
And the thing is that she's just, I feel like there's nobody, like anybody that comes back at her for any of this, like I don't think they're going to be anybody that has the talent to really make anything stick like she can on that.
Yeah, I mean, good luck. Good luck returning, volley for serve.
Yeah, that just a really, for me, that was a pretty good one because just, I don't know. She's just very talented. And even a song that maybe wasn't the best one on the album, like there was enough in there for me. Like, okay, if she can pull some more of this stuff out, I might be a lot more into the next one.
Well,
yeah,
you'll notice that I'm not saying any of these were dog shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. It's just like, preference and criticisms. You can't say this is a bad album or that's a bad song.
Yeah. And we've done plenty of albums where we have torn them up. And this is not one that I felt like we were going to do, but also listening through, I was like, I had the feeling that we were going to have the same kind of consensus that it's like, she's very good at this, but where's like the next thing? Like what's, where's the next step and kind of where you're going to progress on this? If this is all she ever does, like she's going to have a fine career. Like there's going to be nothing wrong with that. If this is all she ever does, and that'll be totally fine. But I hope that she starts getting more into, I don't know, just as she grows and like as a person in her career and stuff, I hope the music goes along with it and that it's, allows us to kind of go on the journey along with her instead of it just always being kind of stuck in this place. But we're going to move on to the next song. And this is one of your picks, is called Anxiety.
So this is an example of my next two picks, actually, which are back-to-back songs on the album, to me were a great example of the vulnerability that really worked about this when stuff like the lyrics weren't even really involved. Like, she's so lyrically inventive. Her delivery is so unique. So that's like her strong suit, and she puts that away for Anxiety. But it's just like, what makes it notable is like the authentic feeling and the passionate delivery. Like that is what sells it to you. She gets very candid. She references people like Whitney Houston, Britney Spears, Marilyn Monroe. These are women very much in her mold who were dismissed as like crazy whores, not to be taken seriously, and like shamed and sensationalized, and like no one gave a shit who they were. So this is like, I'm a real person with an actual personality. I don't know why you think I'm fake as fuck, because here I am just being candid with you.
Yeah. And that's that. I think this song is probably, I think this is what we wanted more of. I think this is kind of at least the level of, kind of opening herself up to, as more than just, kind of a shit talking rapper, opening herself up to be more than that. I think this is really taking a good step towards that. So that's why I'm glad you picked this one. But it's just that way that she does the end of that line, Marilyn Monroe, my favorite hoe, my favorite bad bitch. I think she the goat, jamming to Britney, singing to Whitney. I just want to talk to somebody that get me. And I think it makes a lot of sense where it's like she's kind of reaching out. And I don't know if she literally means that she wants to talk to Britney Spears about her mental health struggles. I don't think that's the thing. I think she's like, I want somebody to understand that I'm like, these are real things that I'm dealing with. I'm not just like a fake thing because I'm a celebrity. Like, I have real emotions and real like emotional needs that I need to take care of. And I think it's good that she does that, because there's a lot of people that look up to her. So if it isn't helping her necessarily, it's still doing a great thing, because it's allowing any time that you get a conversation like this opened up by somebody that has the following like she does, I think it's a good thing, because there's a lot of folks that may not understand that they have an option to do something about why they're always feeling a certain way. And I think her being as tough as she is, and truly as tough as she is, and being like, I also have to deal with this, bad bitches have bad days too.
Which is part of that's one thing I really love about the song, is just like repeating that mantra. It doesn't matter, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, bad bitches have bad days too. That's one of the things I loved about this. And you pair that with like the weird yodeling sound clip and the piano. This was more again in that like Doja Cat playful weird shit that I think you and I talked about. But it's up against like very vulnerable subject matter. I mean, she's talking about like her mom was her inspiration and like her guiding light. They had a like Michael Jordan and his dad kind of relationship, where like her mom was her counsel. Her mom was like the person she trusted the most. And now she's not around. So she's kind of left her own devices. She's on her own. She's lost in a couple ways, probably because she tries to give people the benefit of the doubt and can't sniff out the weasels like her mom could. So this is kind of her writing an open letter to her mom and being like, you were always right. And I wish you were here right now. And it's all of that set to this weird like with that like delightfully catchy chorus. It's like a weird cosmic gumbo.
Oh, nice. It's been a while since you brought that one in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and
been a while.
Anxiety is a cosmic gumbo, both in real life and the song.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that she does this, and I don't want her to always write songs like this, because it means she's always struggling with something. But
yeah,
I think always having this level of honesty about whatever it is that's going on in her life, if she sticks to that, I think no matter what sort of music she decides to do, it's always going to be good and appreciated for for at least being honest like this is.
Well, and then you have my next pick, which is Flip Flop, which is almost a seamless continuation of this sentiment from Anxiety. It's the exact stuff we just talked about. She's sad and lost without her mother's guidance. She has trouble relying on her own intuition. So who do you trust when that most trusted person is gone? And it's just kind of got that like she's again speaking very plainly and saying stuff like, you're probably not feeling my pain. If your mom and your dad are still walking this earth, you're probably not feeling my pain. And that's kind of a callback to like hanging out with Britney Spears, Whitney Houston, Marilyn Monroe, because it's like people that have been to the moon. The only other person you can relate to is someone who's been to the moon. So they're just like, it's trying to find someone who can understand what she's going through, because she's in such a position that none of us have ever found ourselves in. Like, how do you relate?
Yeah. And I think the way the chorus is, this is such this is, I think the chorus is bridging the gap of like the shit talking Megan Thee Stallion and the really honest one. Cause it says, your people ain't your people. They want what you got. Everybody wasn't meant to get off at your stop. Your people ain't your people. They want what you got. Everybody wasn't meant to get off at your stop. And it's her saying like, I know that I'm more talented than a lot of people at what I do. And I think her realizing that like not everybody is going to be able, she's not going to be able to like keep everybody with her as she rises up. The people that are going to stay with her are the ones that are not trying to compete with her and want what she has. There's plenty of people that'll be right there with her the whole way up, but it's not going to be the people that are the ones that were only friends with her because they were getting something out of it. Because eventually they're just going to fall off the train.
Yeah. And the thing about this one is it's the exact opposite of Anxiety, where the sentiment in the chorus and the chorus lyrics don't gel for me at all. Tick-tock, flip-flop, lonely at the top, like that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Kind of Dave Grohl's for me. Did not like it. But I can appreciate the fact that this is another example, too, of this kind of like 90s slow jam instrumentation backing. Mm-hmm. It's like a very smooth song that just keeps churning while she's firing off her lyrics. So it's, again, like, I picked these two because not everything was successful about each song, but together there's enough interesting shit happening that it became like a little standout chunk in the album to me. Even though there were other songs I may have liked better or would have liked to have talked about more, this just typifies like what she's trying to do for the album.
Yeah. And I think that's, and I like that you pointed out the TikTok, but it don't stop, and the flip flop, but it don't lonely at the top things. Did you notice I left that out when I was reading the chorus lyrics? Cause I think she just needed some filler there, like words that rhymed to kind of make that like the sequence of that whole chorus work.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that one needed a few more minutes in the lab.
Probably just a few. Yeah. So this pizza was a little uncooked.
Yeah, she had the main, the lines that I read, and I was like, okay, yeah, those are good because they're good. But the rest, like the TikTok, but it don't stop. The in between lines there that could have been better there. That's the harshest direct criticism I'm gonna have about anything on this one. But
yeah, that's some Rebecca Black shit.
Yeah, truly is. It truly is. So the last song on the album, and my most highly anticipated song to talk about on this album, is called Sweetest Pie. And it is featuring our girl, Dua Lipa.
The one and only.
The one and only. Had you listened to this song previous to the album?
I did a reaction video to it.
Okay, well, this song to me is kind of exactly what I knew it was going to be when I saw who was on it and what the song was called. So to me, this delivered in spades on what I wanted.
I would just like to point out that Jeff picked the ooey gooeyest boner jam on the entire album.
Obviously, we're pro Dua Lipa podcast. Future Nostalgia, one of the better pop albums of the last few years. And you get Dua Lipa and Megan Thee Stallion on the same song, and it might be just the perfect combination that this podcast could have ever asked for.
Would you say it's the sweetest pie?
Yes. Who would you say is the crust between the two?
As a guy who doesn't like crust, that would be a huge diss. So when you say crust, I'm going to say the two flat parts that hold all the goo together.
Yep.
And I would say that in this instance, Dua is the like cherry pie and Megan is the durable pie layers.
That's kind of exactly what I was thinking about on that one.
Like if you just have a bowl of like cherry glop, if you didn't have this delivery system, which is the amazing, like I love these lyrics. No, he got that pipe, let him bust it till it's leaking. Incredible. And then perhaps my favorite is verse 3. More bounce to the ounce, pick it up, put it down. Want to put his nutty buddy in my fudge round.
When that line happened, the first time I listened to this song, we were in the car, and I can't remember when it was. But I want to put his nutty buddy in my fudge round. I lost it, dude. I lost it. Absolutely lost it. I was like, did she really just say that? Just no shame, and I could not be prouder.
It's unbelievable because she has all the conviction of her delivery. Like, she's not doing it like tee-hee-hee. It's just like, want to put his nutty buddy in my fudge round. Like, okay. Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Oh, yeah. What a great closer for the album. This one was definitely like just like tacked on there. Like this was as much like the 90s and early 2000s like albums as anything that I've ever heard, because this song really had nothing to do with the rest of the album.
No, this is one of those weird like veer offs, one of these like tangent things she does on this album. The other one being the one she did with Rico Nasty. Mm-hmm. What the fuck's it called? It's not called Spooky.
It is, hold on, with Rico Nasty is Scary.
Scary. I was close.
You were close.
I was close.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a lot of features on this album. We didn't really cover many that had them. I know the one you were excited about, though, was that the song with Jane Aiko.
Yeah, I was, and that turned out to be a good one. I just want dick and consistency.
Yeah.
It turned out to be a great song, but I ultimately had to go with Anxiety and Flip Flop just because I was like, this is kind of what we were asking for from her in a lot of ways, and like, here's how it didn't land.
Yeah, and I think it's funny that I think the only one that we chose that had somebody else on it was the Dua Lipa song,
Sweetest Pie,
which is kind of, we didn't do that on purpose. No, just kind of funny that it worked out that way.
There was a lot to choose from, good and meh, on this album. It was all pretty much worth talking about, save for like two things.
Yeah, and I think overall, I think it just shows kind of how strong she is as a solo artist, that the songs that we picked that were most interesting to talk about were the ones with just her on it, except for the one. And that was because it had my girl Dua Lipa, and it's probably the biggest hit on this album so far, anyway.
Yeah, right. I thought about picking one of the singles, Plan B or Traumazine, but I don't really like Plan B. I don't really like Traumazine. Pressurelicious.
Yeah.
Big whiff there. Not crazy about either of those, but like, well, they were singles, maybe we should. But nah, fuck it. I think what we talked about gets to the heart of the album.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. I think it hits like the extremes of what the album was. We had the major diss tracks, the introspective ones, and a big hit. So I think we're A-okay. And I'm going to go ahead and say stream it on this one, because if you're already a Megan Thee Stallion fan, you probably already have anyway. But if you're just a rap fan in general, like, this is good hip hop. Like, there's nothing wrong with this. There's parts where we like knowing what she's capable of. I wish there was more, but not to say that what's here is bad.
Listen, it's Megan Thee Stallion. Like, she's big and popular for a reason. Like, just get in on this. This is like, you and I were talking before the show about Marvel, and like, kind of, they're starting to run it down our throats, and it's all by committee. So like, you can say like, well, by that token, why should I listen to Megan Thee Stallion because she's popular? It's like, it's one person's singular vision, and if everybody is into it, she must have something cool to say. So you go ahead and figure out what that is. You stream it.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there anything kind of coming down the hopper?
Well, Jeff, we've got all kinds of stuff coming down the hopper. I don't know if people know this, but we do have a YouTube channel that you guys should absolutely go and check out. Maybe you're listening to it right now. Maybe you're one of the, as of this recording, 334 happy campers hanging out on the YouTube. Maybe that's you. Hi, everybody. And if it's your first time, welcome. But you can find our reactions, our long dormant singles videos, which I'd love to get back to. We have all kinds of like new treats coming out. Tanner and I are going to do another On the Record soon.
Oh,
because he just got a new place. It's got a big ass living room, and we're going to like, I'm getting a $60 lighting kit that'll look really nice.
Hell yeah,
do this up right.
Hell yeah, brother.
And you can see all of that, including every episode of the podcast in all of its glory, at youtube.com/C/Out on That Line.
Man, the consistency. The sun rises in the east, and Alex nails the link.
It will never be forgotten again. I will learn from my mistakes.
Well, that's what trauma does, you know?
It's true.
Really imprints better than anything.
Hashtag Traumazine.
Yeah, it's like a brand.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
You'll always remember. Well, if there's nothing else, Alex, it's been a pleasure. This was an album we really looked forward to. Wish it was a little better, but hey, what can you do? It was a delivered album by Megan Thee Stallion, and who could ask for more, really? You could ask us to talk about anything you'd like on the singles videos, reaction videos, albums. We haven't thought of one for next week. We probably will in the meantime here. But if you have one that you want us to listen to and talk about, tell us. And until next time.